Start spreading the news.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
New York, I love you. I love New York.
What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron, and we are brought to you by Ice Shaker. I'm so happy to be partnering with Ice Shaker. They are such a great brand. It's just an honor to be a part of the Ice Shaker family. And if you don't know about Ice Shaker, they were seen on ABC's Shark Tank, invested by Mark Cuban and A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez. Ice Shaker received offers from all 5 sharks on the show. Kitchen grade insulated stainless steel that'll keep your drinks cold and won't absorb odor like plastic shaker bottles does. Created by the Gronk Bros, the Gronkowski brothers. Shout out to the Gronk brothers. For anyone living an active, healthy lifestyle, the Ice Shaker is perfect for drink, not just protein shakes. The patented twist is agiator and will break up any powders, but also works as a strainer to make sure you always get the perfect pour. Use promo code Off the Ball so you can help us out at the network, help us make a little coin. But on that note, I got my man Ersin on the pod. We are going to talk Knicks Summer League. We're going to dive into the main guys on the team that we feel are going to contribute to the 2021-2022 New York Knicks. So Ersin, what's good, my brother?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. I was looking forward to the show all week, so here I am, man. Ready.
Yes, and I'm happy to have you on. It took a little bit of a break, like we talked that I just started a new job. I'm working overnight, so it got my body. I don't even know, man. I used to always say, man, I'll never do overnights. I'll never do that because it just messes up your body. But you're starting to get a little used to it now. I've been there a week, worked a crazy amount of hours. So, getting used to it. But, I'm back. Last week we had on our Ariel, Pacheco, who's one of the best. His rise has been. Sure. I mean, and you've seen Ersin, like his rise has been pretty dope to see. I remember when he had 100 followers. Now he got what 2K, 3K.
Gonna be more, man.
And
he's a real deal.
Oh yeah, he's good. So he was on. So make sure to check that out. That on the last pod we did, we broke down the whole Knicks season and then talked Summer League, but. Let's get into this, Ersin. Let's talk about Summer League. I know for me, Summer League can be a big overreaction for good and for bad. And I'm sure you've seen people overreact through the wazoo, man. Like it's on both sides, right? Good, like we said, good and bad. We see a lot of that with Summer League. So for you, covering the New York Knicks, and by the way, Ersin is a part of the Off the Ball network. I mean, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I'm happy I reeled him in, man. I might have to sign into a max deal soon. I got to sign a few guys. I might have to sign a few guys, Ersin, to a max, man. I don't know if I got to get the cap. I need a capologist at Off the Ball. I got to figure out how to keep all my guys happy,
luxury tax is going to be
paid, man. You know what? It might be worth going to luxury tax. So that's why you got to go use Ice Shaker and all that, so you can help us out. So I could, keep these guys aboard, before for the big time networks, come after us. But, Ersin is a part of the Ball network. He's been an absolute pleasure to have. He's another one. His rise, it's leveling up. So I appreciate it. But Ersin, for you, Summer League for the New York Knicks. We obviously we saw. Manuel Quickley there, Obi Toppin guys, the 2 picks they had last year. Then we see Miles McBride, Jericho Sims, Quentin Grimes, and Rokas, Jacobaitis, this year. So 6 guys that we felt like could possibly, contribute down the line. Rokas not this year, maybe potentially next year. And also Luka Vildoza. So for you, what was the biggest takeaways for the Knicks Summer League for you?
Yeah, for me, because I want to start with, there is a saying, about the Summer League, it's just Summer League. I don't agree with that, because the summer league for me is okay. You don't value the summer league 100%, but the summer league can be used to know your players better. So what's the good points, what's the strengths, what are the cons, and in summer league players are more free to show what they have in their tanks. Because there's a lot of tests going on. Because Emmanuel Quickley was playing the point guard, he didn't do that as well in his rookie year. And it was an experiment and it worked out well, that kind of things. And Obi didn't really play aggressive in his first year, and he went to the bucket multiple times in his high scoring games, and he was putting up points when the team needed, because he was playing like a go-to guy. He was drafted as an NBA ready player, and he didn't really get to showcase that because of Randall's higher rising and his incredible season that he had. Because that's what I enjoy about Summer League. You get to see things that you normally don't see. And the things that I took from Summer League was that I enjoyed watching the games I watched. We got 4 wins, 2 losses. That's a good record. And I was very curious to see the rookies. And I got a good feeling about all of them, man, because the first game I remember like I'm gonna watch Deuce McBride. That's the guy I'm gonna focus on. But after the first couple of plays, I was seeing Jericho Sims putting on screen actively, he was moving, putting himself in the right position.
Ooh,
I was like, whoa, man, that guy's number
he moved.
58.
Not to cut you off,
Yeah,
but
man.
Jericho. I mean, I knew he was a freak athlete, even at Texas, because I watched a lot of Texas because I was really high on him because of the size they had with him, Greg Brown, and Kai Jones. I'm like, they should have won the national. I had them winning the national championship because of that, and they had the guard play with Courtney Ramey and Matt Coleman. They had everything. So seeing him and watching people see him, and how freaky of an athlete it is. Like I said, I saw some at Texas. Now you didn't see a lot of it because they were playing so many bigs, but he's yeah, I mean, we've seen the highlights.
Incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah, man. The thing what I saw and remembering, when seeing Mitchell Robinson in Summer League, I was like, okay, this
Mm-hmm.
second round pick may work. But the feeling I had with Jericho was he was guarding the perimeter. He was, he didn't miss a shot. But what I saw in the first game was a little hesitant with the rebounds. I caught him not boxing out and giving up easy put back to the opponent. I was like, okay, these things can happen because I saw what he really could do, because he's a freak athlete, as you say, inside, dominant. But he was getting in a position a lot of times very well, actively moving, constantly setting screens, even, guarding the perimeter time by time, guarding smaller players, not even only the bigs. I was like, oh man, this guy is not the real deal, but I was very excited and I totally forgot about Deuce McBride first game. After that, I was like, okay, I didn't really get to do what I wanted to do, check one player out, but I was like Jericho Sims, he's my guy in the second game, because I was like, for one game, I don't care about Grimes or Deuce, I'm gonna focus on this guy. And after that, the first couple of games we saw everyone was getting in a steady. It, it slowly began to make a team as far as you can be a team in summer league. But those guys were put together on a team and go play ball. And after game 2 and 3, you saw kind of a system, because what I did after game 3 was I broke the stats down a little bit, not to pin it 100% on the team, but what I saw was the free throw attempts were mostly like in the regular season. We took way more threes than we did in the regular season, though that was
Mm-hmm.
the first thing that caught up. The field goal percentages were
They
less.
shot a
Well, it's
lot of
normal, yeah.
threes.
Yeah, we
They
shot a
shot
lot of
a
threes.
lot of yeah.
And you tend to miss most of them, so rather than
Mm-hmm.
scoring inside. Which what I took from the Summer League, as if I can break it down per player, I start
Yeah.
with Grimes, number 25. He was banked as a solid 3 and D guy, and 3 and D guys don't stood up on a team. If you say, name 3 players from a team, you rarely name the 3 and D guy, because he is a part of the system and he doesn't get much of the love that they deserve. But Grimes played well. The defense was obviously there. He was, I think, a little reluctant time by time. He settled for a lot of jumpers when he can go to the basket and then make the easy layup. So that was definitely a bad thing. But the shooting stroke is, man, it's clean, man. It's really clean.
Ooh, Ersin,
Alan
his
Houston, the Westchester
his
GM.
ooh,
He
his jump
immediately
shot is
invited me,
beautiful.
man. Yeah,
It's beautiful.
beautiful, man. It's clean. It immediately reminded me of Allen Houston, the West Chester GM.
Yes.
I was like, okay, this guy, it's not to say it myself, it's just summer league, but you don't overreact too much on these kind of games. But you know what you can expect from those guys in regular season when they get their rookie minutes. And Deuce McBride, he's a dog, man. The way he guards on the perimeter, he doesn't give up on a play. He puts a hand in the face in every play. Even have to push a little bit harder, to do that. And he was definitely not playing like it was summer league. He was playing like I'm gonna show myself to the coach who understands that I belong in this league and I want to get minutes in the new season. And he doesn't really care about Cameron Rose being the number one, the number two on the point guard position. So that's a really good attitude that he has. The Knicks mentality, the grinder mentality, he possesses that. And also enjoyed the interview Quickley gave. I think it was after game 2 where he said, this is New York Knicks culture. We work hard and we show it on the court. And you can really see the chemistry with those guys after game 2, game 3, maybe game 3. Because they are not, those. You have those star players who are media focused a lot of times. Those guys aren't, they work hard, they're gym rats, and they show it on the court. And they keep each other up, because what I also saw was Emmanuel Quickley showing leadership as the point guard, coaching, setting plays, calling the screener, that kind of things. He did a lot of things actively, because I saw a lot of negative comments on next Twitter about Quickley not being a point guard, but he shows the will to become a good all-around combo guard, because that guy's a shooter, born shooter.
But that's the thing. We knew that though. So we're trying to. Nobody's acting Quickley to be, an 8-7, 7 or 8 assist guy a game. We know that's not his game. So people trying to force him to be that. That's not who he is. He can play. He can run it. He can run the point. He's a good ball handler. He could be a nice secondary. Ball handler, what you need, right? You need as many guys who can handle the ball on a team. You can never have enough ball handlers on your team. So that's fine. Like I saw people saying, and yeah, I know for me, I said I would love to have a floor general. I think that's still a valuable, but when I talked about Quickley, I was like, that's not who he is, and that's okay. Some people were freaking out. Like people were like, "Oh, he can't be a starting point guard because he can't, he's not a facilitator." And all. I was like, "That's okay. It's okay. He don't need to be. Doesn't need to be Jason Kidd. He's going to play his role perfectly as a combo guard, either coming off the bench. Even if it does start, he's gonna shoot the ball. He's gonna be a scorer. He's gonna draw fouls. He's gonna get to the free throw line. He's gonna hit 88 to 85 to 80 to 90% of his free throws because he's a tremendous free throw shooter. So that's still valuable. He doesn't, just because you're a point guard, we know there's Ersin in today's basketball, there is different levels of point guard. There's not just the one type where you just have to distribute the ball. There's different variations of point guards in today's basketball.
Yeah, for sure. There's the false narrative of the point guard now. Because the traditional point guard, the playmaker, that's already gone. You see even bigs play like points. The point forward with LeBron in his good days.
Karl Anthony Towns shooting 8 threes a game.
Karl Anthony Towns 20 years ago, that was not thinkable. Because bigs are in the paint, gonna big boy their opponent and dominate. But now the game is changing, and Emmanuel Quickley showing that he can do that is a huge plus. I don't care about him scoring 40, 50 points. That doesn't have any value because he already is a shooter, and we know that.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's showing a different side of himself, and he shows he's wanted to work, and he's showing us that he can do more than what he did in year 1, shoot. And regarding his free throws, he was the best amongst the rookies. He was number 11 in the league from the line as a rookie.
That's what I love about him.
Yeah, there's a huge value. He shot more free throw attempts than his idol Lou Williams, and even with less minutes. That's the crazy part. If you break the stats down on his game, it is very promising. I think he will be a franchise cornerstone if he managed to keep him. Because I think he's happy in New York. I think he doesn't really want to leave, but it's too early to tell. Because if he has a great year 2, year 3, year 4, and we don't pay him enough, he can go. You can't foresee
his confidence. His confidence is sky high too. I mean, we saw that from the jump too. And what was crazy with last year's class with Obi, and we'll get into Obi top in a sec, it was that everyone was with Obi was like, okay, he's ready. He's pro ready because he's matured, you know, his size and all that. And Quickley was the one where we felt like he's not going to play initially a lot. You know, he may not play a lot this season. And it was the complete opposite. And we saw Quickley confidence from the jump. Like he's not afraid to pull up and shoot a three in your face. He's not afraid to draw fouls and keep the guy on his hip. He's not afraid to shoot that floater. He's not afraid, you know, to hit big time free throws, you know, and that's what I think people love about him. And we saw this, like people, and we just talked about, you know, the passing and all that. Still average 8 assists in the summer league. I know summer league, but 8 assists, you know, 8 assists a game in
40
summer
minutes,
league, you know.
So 40 minutes, not 48.
You know, he played 33 minutes a game in summer league, you know, 8 assists, that's not bad, you know. It's, you know, so, you know, I think his playmaking is getting better. He does try to force it at times, and we definitely saw it with the turnovers and all that. But like you said, we're not asking him to be Jason Kidd, you know, and, you know, he definitely showed a lot. You know, I know people are going to look at the field goal percentage too, because he shot. Listen, he let that thing fly. He let it fly. He let it fly. But I'm not going to overreact about that because it's, like I said, it is summer league, and they told him, "Hey, take over. You're the leader of this team. Let's see that." And you saw him very vocal and all that. So to me, that's what I took. I don't care that he shot 32%, 33%. I'm not going to trip over that too much. It's summer league, you know. I think he'll take better shots, and obviously, once you get to the pro, you're playing with other pros for the most part, you know. But Quickley, he's great, and I'm looking forward to him. So we'll continue go, Ersin.
Yeah, I really love him, and I think he showcased it. As you say, he can let it fly. The floor is yours. I even remember one game where he eventually shot, I think, about 30 points, and I remember it quite well. You know, Greg Anthony was calling the commentator on the game, and at some point he was telling the coaches telling quickly, "Oh, you can continue to shoot it," you know, because what Tibbs does, and he was giving him confidence to do his thing, and that's what he did that game. And he had a big game from the bench, almost 30 points. I remember that game quite well. I can't remember who the opponent was, that I have to look after the show, you know. But that moment was a huge sign for me. You know, this guy can be good. This guy can contribute as a rookie. And at the end of the year, he was a rookie second team. Some say he was robbed from all rookie first team. That you can discuss, you know, because Halliburton was great as well, and he had a big role with the Kings. And we had a great season, as we weren't prepared to have a good season. So we had a lot of, you know, high rewards from hard work that we didn't really expect. And as you say about Emmanuel Quickley, that's the last thing I'm going to say about him. With the playmaking, you know, the old playmaker is gone, man. I think in this league, the point guard should be the guy putting up the most points, and he obviously can do that. And he can, you know, he showed that he can defend the most shooting guards, not
He
all
plays
of
the
them, but
passing lanes pretty good
yeah,
too. Like
course.
he's not going to be an all NBA type defender ever, but man, he could be a little pest. He could be a
Yeah,
little pest. Like I said, he plays
decent
the passing
defender.
lanes really good too. That's why I like about Quickly a lot. But I'm 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 really excited to see him this year. I think he's
Me
going to
too,
have
man.
a really break. I'm going to say breakout. It's still a year or two, but he's only in year or two. But he's going to have a really good season. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in that 6 man of the year. Like, I mean, I don't know if that's a bold take, but I'm just learning from D Rose. You're gonna have Kemba there now. Like that guard position went from maybe being a weakness, you know. Now
Yeah, that's great.
it's a pretty it's a nice strength. They got some depth there, you know. With the young guys mixed with the young guys with the vets, I think they're definitely got a nice group there. But I want to get into to last year's top 10 pick, and Obi Toppin struggled last year, right? For the most part,
Yeah.
you know, if he did seem like he got more comfortable as the year went on, and then in the playoffs was getting some run, and I think that was good for him. Had some moments, made some big shots, had some nice dunks and all that. So he got his confidence going, which it seemed like a lot. Obi last year, and we just mentioned before, right? He came into the league, and everyone was like, okay, he's pro ready because of his size, 6'9", can move. But he definitely had, a steeper learning curve than we thought, and just wasn't as confident. Would be very hesitant. You've seen him, right? He would get the ball at the perimeter and just didn't know what to do. Didn't know if he was going to go off the dribble, he was going to pull up for a three. Didn't know he's doing, just a lot of hesitation. This summer league, we saw a different Obi Toppin.
Yeah, man.
We saw Obi that was, first of all, and most importantly, forget about the numbers, because the numbers are going to back up, his summer league. The pure confidence. I mean, this man was taking people off the dribble. The minute I saw that first, I was like, okay, we got a different Obi Toppin, and he could have took it that he's a top 10 pick and he's playing in summer league in year 2. Because some people may be like, well, he was a top 10 pick. Why is he in summer league? That maybe people could look at that as a down, or maybe as a player too, and take that as a slight. He said, no, he looked at this as, hey, I got to get, I need to get better. I did not have the rookie season I want. And he came in and he was supremely confident, shot the ball well, he dribble, he's taking people off the dribble, dribble, pull up three in people's face, pull up J's. Ersin, the confidence in Obi Toppin. Like I said, like we mentioned, it's summer league. We don't want to overreact, but to me, that's not an overreaction. What we saw with his confidence as a basketball player that we didn't see a lot during the season last year. So for you, Ersin, what did you see? What made you, what was the biggest takeaway from Obi Toppin this summer league? Because he looks like a different player, and I think this is definitely going to translate into a absolutely different and better year 2 for Obi Toppin than it was his rookie season.
First of all, amen, brother. I totally agree, man. And also, I want to add one thing about being in the top 10 pick. I see a lot of comments from people saying they expect the top 10 pick to be a team leader or a top 2, top 3 player on the roster. But it's perfectly normal to draft a guy who can be a great complementary piece, a good rotational guy, with your top 10 pick. That's not a problem at all. And we saw it with Randall, the most improved player in all NBA second team. With a guy like that being number 1, you can't expect Obi to put up higher numbers than him. I think he will eventually. He always settled with the role of being his reserve, But because what I took from Obi in summer league, that he played with confidence. I saw that they took 2 days off after the Hawks elimination, and they got back in the gym with him and Quickley. And I think Obi was waiting for summer league to come. He didn't really care that he was a lottery pick, being a second-year summer league, so that may be looking as a weakness. But I think it was his strength that he didn't care, and that he wanted to show that he can be more. The Dayton Obi that we know, he wanted to show that guy. And as you say, man, he took players off the dribble, with the pull-up jumpers right in the face, clean, cash. You go into the bucket,
Yep.
finishing with the tough layups. And repeatedly, after one bucket, he went to the second. And give me the ball, give me the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it again. Give me the ball, he did it again. I think that's a great confidence boost for him. I think in year 2, he will get maybe some more minutes, but he's Randall's backup, and you can't change that fact because we saw when he was guarding the wing on the 3, he barely could stand in front of Gallinari, that if he can develop that, he can guard threes. That will be a huge plus for him. But he's also too small to play as a center.
Mm-hmm.
He can maybe play as a small ball center, but I don't really admire that kind of game. I don't really appreciate that because then you can try to force him into situations that he doesn't thrive off. I think Obi in year 2 will be a guy who is going to play maybe around 12 to 15 minutes and put up 8 points and maybe 3-4 boards, and that's good. Because he can be a guy from the second unit that you can give the ball in crunch time and Obi, get us those 3 points, get us and 1, maybe shoot a 3. because he can actually, what I saw in some league, he can space the floor as well, man. He can set a screen, and with his outside game, he can do that. He can catch the ball and go inside. You know, the first step at him is decent to good. He's not super quick, but as you say, he took guys off the dribble, and obviously the guys he took off the dribble are not NBA pros, but it says something, man. It says something because he's playing in the second unit, and in the NBA, the players in the second unit, and especially in teams that are not in the top 4, top 10 of the league, he can take those guys, man. He can take those guys. And on the defensive end, when I compare the stats, the second unit was most efficient in the NBA, one of the most, mainly because of their defensive stops, because they kept opponents around that 40 to 45 field goal percentage, and they scored slightly better than them, leading them to have a positive plus minus with the second unit, and providing us those boosts that can take games where we mostly narrowly lost. These close games from 2 years and earlier, we kind of always lost those games. They were all close. But with this second unit, we saw we were winning games. And I remember the last 2 games of the season against the Spurs and the Celtics. We almost gave away big leads, but for some reason I was always confident that we're gonna take the W. Because I don't care if they bring it back to 1 and they have a chance to win it. We're gonna win, and that's the confidence those guys give. And seeing Obi dominate like this in the summer league will only make his draft stocks be more valuable. I think it's not too late to buy into Obi's draft stock right now, because he's going to have a better and better year too. But he will not be the Obi that people expect him to be. The NBA ready, going to score a lot of points. That's not his role on this team. Maybe on another team, but I think he won't be on another team, and he's going to show steady improvement in year 2.
Yeah, and I just with Obi, and maybe when you evaluate players and that are 3-4 year guys, maybe we forget that there is still that learning curve in the NBA. No matter how many years you played in college, you played 4 years, and you're a vet, and you know how to play. You still have to learn how to play the NBA style of game. And maybe, and even in my case, maybe I just was so keen in that he has the body. He has an NBA body. He's going to be able to translate to the game fairly easy. And I just didn't put the fact that, hey, everyone's learning curve's different.
Yeah.
He came in and just overthinking, which, hey, like I mentioned before, I just started a new job. I've been overthinking this whole week, and it's like, no, you don't overthink. Just do it, understand, and just process thing. But sometimes you just get, oh my, wait, I gotta do, and you and we saw that a lot with Obi, but he came into this summer league and he looked good. He took a lot of shots too. So they told him, and we knew that, right? When summer league, we knew Quick and Obi were going to be in summer league. We knew, hey, they're going to let them shoot. They're going to let those two guys take over and shoot the ball more. And they both took 18 shots each in summer league. And obviously Quickley wasn't as efficient, but Obi was pretty efficient, shooting the ball. What he shot, like 35 from 3, I think. 45% from the field, like I said, at a high clip, but just the confidence. That's what you needed in year 2. And another underrated thing, they need these guys to hit, because obviously Kevin Knox most likely will not be on this team, and if he is on this team, let's face it, he's going to be stuck there's going to be a lot of DMPs if he's still on this team. We just saw garbage minutes possibly, and we just saw Ntilikina, no qualifying offer, free agent. You can't miss on top 10 picks as much as the Knicks have. You got to be able to hit these. So there was probably some pressure for them to, like, hey, we need Obi to. But like I said, summer league, you don't want to overreact too much. But he looks like, okay, maybe just year 1, it happens. Rookie season, it was a weird year. Let's face it, that's another factor. His season got cut short at Dayton. He was going to be a number 1 seed. He won the player of the year, and that got cut short. Then you get drafted. It's not a regular draft process. Everything's Zoom. You don't have those workouts. You don't have a summer league. He didn't have a summer league last year to get better. So this is essentially his rookie season. This is what he would have done his rookie season, and maybe we would have seen a better Obi Toppin. But I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to play. Obviously he's behind Randall, but it gives him good insurance. In case anything does happen to Randall, or they want to cut back his minutes. Hey, we trust Obi more to play more. Because I think that factored in last year why Randall played a high lot of minutes. They didn't trust Obi. Now this year, if they trust him, maybe you don't need Randall to play all these minutes because he looked tired at times, towards the end of the season. So now you have Obi there to spot him to play more minutes. To me, that's a win. So definitely, this rookie class as a whole, to me, it was just a really solid class. Like I said, it wasn't sexy. And I think people, even when I was on Knicks Fan TV, and shout out to CP for even having me on draft day, like people were so keen in on names. And then think, as someone who does a lot of draft stuff, there's guys I like that I wanted. Like obviously I wanted Sharif. I wanted Sharif. That my initial reaction was, and they didn't get Sharif and all that. But as I were able to process everything after, I'm like, they had a really solid class, man. They had a really, really solid class, and I just think they're doing the right things. The Knicks, they're developing these guys, and just making right moves right now. I really, really like, and even Rokas, he won't be a part of his team this year, and show some flashes too. He's a crafty lefty, which I can get to the basket and all that. That's someone we can see next year. So just give me your overall haul on this team on this summer league before we sign off.
Yeah, if I look at the draft at the first time, I was like, okay, I want a Sharif as well. And now I feel kind of silly that I was focusing on Sharif so much that I didn't have a number 2. I think it was 10 days before the draft. I was like, okay, I gotta check out these other guys. Because Sharif is probably gone before we pick, and afterwards he was there at 48. So that's the first funny part. Second part is I was between 3 guys as the number 2. I was between Deuce, Davion Mitchell, who I would think was falling to the end of the first round, but I like this game as well. And then the third guy was Bones Island, man. I really like that guy as well because he's a born scorer. But the first thing I had with Bones, and I kind of fell off of him early because he's a scorer. He's a scorer, and we have Quickley.
He's quick. And when I got into Bones and people were like, oh, he's Emmanuel Quickley, I'm like, is that just a lazy comparison because they kind of look at each other? They got the braids and all that, similar builds. And then as I got into it and I started watching, and even Mike Schmitz of ESPN, when he did they did the scouting stuff, he mentioned it. I'm like, oh, he plays just like Emmanuel Quickley. So it is not a lazy comparison. It's actually legit. They play very similar. Obviously, it's different style, but it's eerily similar.
Yeah, it's most. If you compare those guys, you take away the face and you say, okay, this is Quickley, there's Highland, and they end up to be each other, That's why I thought, okay, Bones Highland, if you get him, okay, but it's not my first choice. Then I was like Davion Mitchell and Deuce McBride, and the only reason I took Deuce over Mitchell was the free throw shooting was way better, and I like Deuce's defense, the on-ball defense. Davion wanted the on-ball defense, but the reason I like Deuce so much is he does it all, man. I think his off-ball defense, the basketball IQ in that guy is very underrated. Everyone was so high on Davion. I think he's still a bit overrated, even though he was dominating some league, especially defensively. But the field goal percent on that guy is not good, man. We were going to fall into the same mistake as we did for Frank Ntilikina. A good defender, a bad shooter, another project. Davion being more NBA ready, I will give him that, but the fit wasn't obviously there for us. So that was like, okay, if we get Deuce at 19, I'm more than happy. But he fell to 36 and we still got him, so That was the first win of the
That
draft,
was a win and a half. That's
and
what, listen, obviously, like I mentioned
it was a
before, I
home run.
love Sharif, and Sharif was my number one guy for the Knicks at 19, 21. Obviously, he dropped to 48. But getting Deuce was to me a top 25 player. So the fact that the Knicks
Yeah.
were able to get him at 36, I was thrilled. Absolutely thrilled, because I know people were down on the Grimes pick. And like I said, it's name value, right? You don't not a lot of fan. You even, there's people like, who is this guy? Like, they didn't hear a lot
Yeah.
about Grimes, right? They heard about Deuce because they love the defense and all that. And I remember talking to people like, watch the game versus Oklahoma State. One of the games versus Oklahoma State, he was giving Cade a lot of problem. Cade was the number one pick, so to me, the value of that, getting Deuce at 36, it trumped me. It trumped me, being mad about not getting Coop, because getting Deuce, he was not too far behind Coop as far as that point guard. So to me, that was it's the value. I think felt like they got everyone. Jericho was a great value at 50. Like, I think Kai is a special athlete and all that. Like, he maybe have a higher upside, but I mean, where we got Jericho at 58 and what we are gonna expect for him, just to be someone that's just gonna be a rim runner, crashing the board, just getting all, doing all the dirty work. I mean, that's just great value. So I just think the Knicks just got tremendous value in this draft. And then you add last year's two guys to this fold. They got a nice blend. That
Sure,
makes me
man.
really, really
Sure.
excited about the future of this team. But any other takeaways from the summer league for you, or Ersin?
I was looking at the summer league. I was focusing on the two-way deals, man, this time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know Jericho 58, he's going to get the first two-way deal.
Yep.
They gave him a 2-year two-way deal. That's a sign of commitment. So he will take his time as Westchester, focus on the things he doesn't possess, maybe a shot outside the mid-range, or maybe not, because he's shooting almost 80% from inside. Let him do that. And he's going to learn at the G League, playing against the pros, playing against all the guys than him. Let him do his 2-year stint at Westchester, and we'll see with him. And what I always took at the other thing I took for summer league, I was very high on Amir Sims, because he's not Randall, but he kind of plays like him. The outside shot, the attacking the basket. He's very strong, very physical, just like Randall. I was like, okay, I like that guy. We gave him a summer league spot. Maybe he will get a two-way deal. They signed him to a contract. I don't know what kind of contract. I think it's a camp invite that we can maybe turn into
I don't know if it's a
two-way.
two-way. I haven't heard. I know they signed him. I don't know
Sign him, but
what
I
kind
don't
of
know
deal it
for
is.
what.
I know he's under contract. I know that. I don't know if it's under a two-way or whatever type of deal it is. But they picked him up right after the draft
Immediately.
ended. Yeah, he was pretty. They picked him up pretty quick. So obviously they saw something in him. Nice size too. What 6'8", 230,
6'8", he
240.
can catch the ball on perimeter, attack the basket. And one guy I liked in summer league was MJ Walker, man. That guy, defensively he was very good. I think offensively it was, yeah, but still I don't want to value that too much because Thibodeau values defense first. I think he's a team player. He defends very well, and he is a potential two-way for a reason because he has cons in his game. I think even offensively he did not a great job, but not a bad job either. There is some music in him. I think it will if he gets two-way, he's going to show good things at Westchester. Maybe play some minutes in the NBA. It could be very possible, because these kind of guys you don't get enough of them. Especially with the 3 and D is very. I think the 3 and D term I don't like it that much. But with Grimes, you can understand it, because he's a great three-point shooter, and the shooting stroke's very clean. He shoots above 40% in college, in summer league, and he's a beastly defender, man. And you kind of need those guys because Bullock is gone. He was shooting 43% from catch and shoot from the corner. He's gone, so he will bring our defense slightly back and maybe the three-point shooting as well. And Grimes can potentially replace them and even be better because what I also saw with Grimes is what Bullock did was catch the ball and shoot it and defend. He did nothing more than that. with Grimes so he can attack, but he
Yeah,
settled for a
Bullock
lot of
Bullock was the
jumpers.
definition of 3 and D. Like
No
when people think
definition.
3 and D is, guy who just sits in the corner, just shoots threes and then defends. And I think we definitely upgraded because it wasn't like Bullock was like an all world, defender, and even his shooting can be inconsistent. So we get someone that could potentially be an upgrade fairly quick, possibly,
Yeah.
and down the line has upside too. I don't think
Yeah,
he's
he
just
can do more than
strictly
that.
3 and D. I think he can do more. So I think there's a lot of upside with Quentin. For sure.
Yeah, I think if I can rank the summer league picks, Deuce is number one. I think Rokas is number two because the front office did a very well situation read there because he's gonna go to Barcelona. He's gonna play for his old coach, Jaksevicius. He played in the NBA for 2 years. He's a point guard as well. He is gonna play with Mirotic from the Bulls. He's gonna play with Paul Gasol, who won 2 rings with Kobe. I think this situation, and you're going to play for a contender, for draft and stash, that's a great position to be in, and at 32, that's great value. He
Mm-hmm.
can maybe take 1 year. I think he will take 2 years because in the EuroLeague, you have to play 25 to 30 minutes and dominate, man, if you want to have a chance in the NBA. And with his old team, Žalgiris Kaunas from Lithuania, he played around 20 minutes and he showed good things. In some league, he showed what he can do, but the cons were obviously there. He has a lot of learning to do, but he is in a situation where he has great mentors. So I really like that draft pick on the long term. And obviously, Grimes and Sims share the number three, because if you're going to look for impact makers, Grimes is not the guy, okay, I want 20, 30 points a night. Grimes, go get it for me. That's not the guy he is. But Deuce can be that guy. I want defensive stops, and mostly the point guards are going to bring up points, and he can stop them. I should put up a great point about the Oklahoma game. Kate Cunningham, he made his life miserable, man. He didn't play like a number one pick in that game,
Yeah.
mainly because of his defense. And that's why I'm most high on Deuce, and I'm giving him the best chances of getting valuable rookie minutes, especially with Kemba probably not going to play most of, maybe not 80% of the games, and Derrick Rose is getting a day older, so he won't probably want to play the 30 games tonight.
And
That
and it
leaves
makes
two
those
guys.
guys like Derrick Rose expendable
Yeah,
because obviously Derrick Rose, re-signed with the Knicks. And if one of these youngins step up, you can't tell me a team if the Knicks, are possibly can deal Derrick Rose and get something in return for him. Kind of like what they did, a few years back with Morris. That would be great for the Knicks. So
yeah, of
to
course.
me, that's why I like the free agent decisions they made and the contracts. To me, they're very easily movable. And like you said, you get one of these guys, going. I think that can possibly, and if Quickley does his thing, and McBride is locking up people the way he was doing in summer league, it can really make those guys expendable and get those guys the youngins more playing minutes. But it's I'm excited. I'm really excited about this 21-22 season.
Me too,
I
man.
feel like it feels like it's going to be another solid season. Not going to have crazy expectations, but I feel like they can repeat what they did last year. So I'm super excited about the blend with the youngins. They had some flashes in summer league, played some solid minutes, confidence in last year's guys with Quickley taking more of a leadership role. Obi just playing more confident. Saw some bright spots with Grimes and McBride and Jericho Sims and Rokas and Amir Sims, guys who could potentially, be playing minutes in the big with the Knicks next year. So, Ersin, it's been a pleasure talking to you, buddy.
Yeah,
This was a
for
lot of
sure,
fun.
man.
This is not going to be the last time we'll be doing it. This is our first one-on-one pod. So I'm happy that we were able to do this one-on-one. Obviously, we've done a bunch of shows, and we're going to be doing a whole lot of stuff in the future. He'll be hopping on the new podcast. Me and Steven will be dropping Draft Capital.
Yeah, for sure, brother. I
We're
can't
going to be
wait.
doing a lot of international stuff and all that, but Ersin, like I said, appreciate you for being on the show, talking summer league, breaking down, the youngins and how they did and what to look forward to for this season. So before we sign off, Ersin, tell the people where they can find you and any projects you got going on.
Well, you can find me on Twitter, with the handle Ersin and NYK. I do mostly Knicks things, break down the stats, try to translate it to the things that we saw on the court. But the other thing I do a lot is, the NBA Draft 2022. You can't prepare early enough. I have a couple of guys that I'm already high on. I haven't break down all players, so that's definitely on the schedule to do this year. I do a lot of writing, for representing Off the Ball Network. You can find me on the website writing articles about draft potential, picks, writing about, I did a thing about Kemba's homecoming, did a Vildoza scouting report. And I think that I'm going to do actively is, follow Roka Sukubitis, because, in the EuroLeague, I watch those games regularly. For me, it's now an incentive to watch one particular guy, Rokas, and I will do. So I will do a thread, and a repeatable thread about his games, what he does, development, maybe some off the court things, because Barcelona is a very active squad in that thing. They share a lot with the media, so for us it's easy to get this information. I'm gonna enjoy doing this, so that's gonna
Yep.
be what I will be focused on this year. And you can find me on Twitter doing those things.
Yep. And if you're not following him, you need to, because he breaks down he breaks down the game, breaks down, prospects and international guys. That's what caught my eye with him when we first started interacting. Like, this is his knowledge of the international game and all that. So make sure to follow him. His follow count keeps going up and up, and he's absolutely killing it. Make sure to check out his work at the Off the Ball Network. And on that note, guys, I appreciate everyone for tuning in, listening. This has been, like I said, we're gonna be doing a lot more stuff, Ersin. It's just a start. It's just a start. Make sure to follow me at Off the Ball Pod on Twitter. Follow me Off the Ball Podcast on Instagram. Make sure to leave us a 5-star rated on Apple iTunes. I believe my podcast is top. It was top 100. In Belgium. So shout out to friends in the Belgium. Yeah, in Belgium, it was in India. It was ranked. I was ranked in a few countries. I got to get that. I got to get back to that top 200 in the sports category with basketball. I was there for a cup of coffee, but got to get back ranked in the States. But I appreciate everyone who listens to the show wherever you are. It's the reason why I do this. So I appreciate everyone for listening. Like I said, make sure to give me, if you're on Apple, give me a nice 5-star rate, leave a nice comment. Like I said, we're getting a lot more good stuff coming. Next show that you guys be listening to, I'll have on Jordan Jackson. Very excited to have. I had him on pre-draft before last year, so I'm really looking forward to having him back. Just signed overseas at Portugal, so we'll dive into all that. That's going to be a really, really fun show. So check it out. Jordan Jackson will serious hops. Ersin, go check out his hop. He got wild hops. Like I said, he be playing ball in Portugal. So
for sure,
that's going to be the next show. So make sure to follow everyone at the Off the Ball Network. Doing great stuff. We're almost at 1K on Twitter. Just nothing but great talent at the Off the Ball Network. So make sure to follow them. Follow us at OTB_network on Twitter, Off the Ball Network on Facebook. We should have all the live shows. Check out all the great content we have. I mean, there's so many great shows. We got the Blue Bloods, Breaking the Game, Couch Coach Live, Cruise Island. We got Up in Flames, Jeff Needs Sport. There's so many shows. Coach Fog got his show on there. We got Knicks Fan Wilden. Shout out to our guys, Knicks Fan Wilden, to Juan and Mario. Just so many great shows. What the game is. See, I can make a whole nother show about the shows on the network. So you guys know who you are. Man. Appreciate everyone. But on that note, be well, be safe, be kind to each other. Like I said, we'll be back for another episode of the Off the Ball Podcast. Be well, take care, and we'll have Ersin back real soon. So be well. Let's go, Knicks.